Well, here we are back from Florida, and as you can see behind me, snow. So quite a big jump from those tropical climes and palms and balmy warm breezes to this bitterly cold Arctic type weather with strong cold winds out there and 3 or 4 inches of snow. Been out taking a few photographs. Unfortunately the landscape around here doesn't inspire me that much. Maybe I need to get down near the river later, see if I can get some around the Humber. But I did get this quite nice one just coming down the street here in Bonby the other day. So I'm showing you here. And I'm going to try and show you and share with you how we might work with a very simple photograph like this with a few colours in watercolour, just to make a limited palette and make a fun picture step by step. I'm going to use hot press this time, a smooth paper. That would have been better off with a rough, but I've got the smaller piece just cut to size. Just wanted to experiment and have a bit of fun and share this step by step with you. So I'm going to go literally let you have a chance to do this one with me, and we'll go stage by stage, working down through the background and the sky, wet into wet, and then gradually pulling out these lights and darks for fun, and to see if you enjoy that as well. If you'd like to try it with me, then here we go. Right, firstly let's look what we're going to need. We've got my paper taped onto here. I haven't stretched it, just taped it. I've got 4 brushes, which are a rigger, a little square-ended flat for the windows, my oval mop, and I've got a little comb, not a rake, a comb brush, this for the fine work at the end of some of the branches. We'll see if those 4 can do the job for us. Palette-wise, all I'm going to need, I think, is my Winsor & Newton paints today, the finer watercolours, and I've got Prussian blue, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, or raw sienna would do, and burnt sienna. Here I've got some other colours just in case I need them, cerulean, cobalt, a little bit of gold, and some chrome yellow and some rose. But I don't think I'm going to need those. Hopefully we're just going to make do with these paints here to give this lovely effect of this rather dour, snowy day. Obviously I've got a jar of water, and I've got my other brushes and paints there if I need them, just in case. Let's make a start then. So I've dampened those paints already, and I'm going to start with the sky. So we're going to start with these lighter areas here, work our way down and drop in some of these trees and darks as I go to try and get this snowy effect. I'm going to start with my nice big oval mop, wet that. So I want to do very much wet into this, but I'm going to leave a nice light area here. I'll start with my yellow ochre, or as I say, I could actually prefer raw sienna, because raw sienna is a more transparent colour, and I'm going to put a thin wash of slightly mucky water all the way down here and around the house and so on, because I want a hard edge on those, right down through to here. And I can work my way down the whole paper later, right down into here, right down through there as well, around here. And you'll see why in a moment. And down through to here as well. I'm going to just dampen that at the moment down there. So we've got all our paper except for the white areas nicely wetted down, ready for the first coat. So I take my yellow ochre or raw sienna, and I'm tilting my paper slightly, so we're going to have things just tilting down a little bit into this. I want to leave that area light. I'm going to take a little bit of tissue paper as well, paper towel, in case I need to lift out any paint anywhere. So we're leaving that area light just there. A little bit stronger around it now, around the outer edges of it, and let that Just gently blend in down to here. And make sure that that middle area stays light. I want that to be nice and white just there. So I'm going to lift out the water there so it can't trickle into it. And continue this wash of yellow ochre into here. Right up and through there. Coming out through here. We want this idea of the snowy clouds that are flowing down there. Just in and around here, so that leaves that nice and light, that area. It's coming out across here as well, and it's quite a rich, deep warm down here, through here. You can see how we can use the controlled accident of watercolour, and this is with the raw sienna or the yellow ochre only at the moment. It's all we're going to need at the minute. Bring this down, flooding through here. Now I'm going to gradually add a little bit of the burnt sienna, which will make it much warmer. The burnt sienna, you can see my brush just going, just touching it now, just bringing it in a little bit into that mixture we've already got. And I'm going to bring that down around here as well. Up right into here. Through here, seeing that flood down, right down through here. We're going to bring more paint into that yet again in a minute. I want it flooding down through here, and in the background here, a little bit more warmth and around these areas. Right down into the trees here. Again, you're going to see why in just a moment. And there's some clouds just showing, lighter clouds just showing here, so I'm going to go a little bit lighter just around those here. Now, stronger still, I'm going to start working my ultramarine into that now. The ultramarine is going to be a little bit bluer just down here, a bit purer into this colour. I'm going to bring the ultramarine right across these areas here. A minute, go darker there in a moment again, but right across some of these. Fairly thinly at the minute. Any snowy areas are going to be down here. A little bit of that warmth now down into here as well. We're trying to do this almost all in one go. I want to do it all while it's still nice and wet. So warm and cool's there. My ultramarine coming up through here. Wet into wet at the moment. Even these lighter areas. A little dark around there again later. Just want to get these light tones in for the moment. The blues and so on here. As I say, my seeming madness will make sense in a minute. The blue coming around there, coming down into here. Now I'm going to mix the ultramarine with the previous colours, the yellow ochre and the burnt sienna, to make a lovely sort of warm, deep, rich, purpley colour that's going to come in here, and I'm going to dabble that in right the way across here and let that come down through here. And as I've made that deeper, rich colour, I'm going to then come back to my ultramarine and with the purer blue start to just come into that. So you can see the difference between the sort of warm and cool going on there, right down to here where this blue is here, quite strong across here because I want this to drop down into here, right around this building, all the way down there, just letting this blob in around these, let that light show through here, quite dark down here, so we're going to take that much stronger colour but all the way down here through there. As it comes down and around this light area here, flooding down. The difference between the blues and this sort of slightly bluey warm. And hear the wind blowing outside now, quite strong. That blew through there, right through these trees here. Hard edged against that roof there. And again you're going to see why in just a moment. Take my tissue, and if any drops down too much we'll lift it out like that. So here I want that to be wet into wet down to there, because in a minute I'm going to drop some special effects into there. Keep that wet there. You might get a slightly better effect of this by having it flat, but I'm going to now add a little bit of Prussian blue, the brown, a bit of burnt umber and the Prussian blue, which is a much deeper blue, and we'll drop that in to get this lovely warmer grey, a little bit of ultramarine into it, much warmer blue grey going on here against this earlier blue grey, to show it out a bit more. Again, we're going to let that come all the way down there, so Prussian and the ultra and the burnt sienna and a little bit of ultramarine, just to get a beautiful dark. Remember that watercolour dries lighter than when you put it on, so all of this seemingly very dark colour at the minute is going to come out much much lighter. Let that sun shine through there as I blob these wets into wets through, coming through into here. Now while that's still wet, there's some effects I need to get. It's lighter just across here, so I need to take my towel and just lighten up this area here, just take it out of there, that's it, and in fact darken down this bit here. Now strengthen that a bit, a little bit of yellow ochre and the burnt sienna, just to make that a bit stronger and darker down here. And let that snowy roof show out some. And it's finishing here. I want to finish that off nice and dry just there. Comes down through there. I'm going to go back over that with some blue in a minute. What I'm going to do now is make some very dark Prussian blue and the burnt sienna. Very dark, a little bit of the ultramarine into there first of all, and I want to paint in. Now really I should have been doing this upside down, because this will work better upside down, but over this roof here we've got this lovely trees, and I'm going to use the wet into wet to get the effect of these trees. I don't want it flowing down into the roof, and this is the trouble with painting at an angle so you can see. Just lift that up into there. If I was doing this upside down this would be spreading beautifully. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deliberately turn it upside down so you can see how it would work for you. So we turn that the other way up, and you can see how these are now. I'm going to control it more, dropping downwards to get the effects of these trees over the top. And this really needs to be more controlled, so we need to tilt the paper to get the amount of control going into here and get these trees just coming up and out. And we can lift out as well. I can take my brush, dry the brush out, and just take out some of these areas from here, lift them out with the dry brush. You can see how that works, look, and we can just let those trees stay showing through there that way. Go back into here with the darks again and just drop in some of these darks again, even darker just here, just to trickle on outwards. A little bit warmer up here, so I'm going to take a bit more burnt sienna to drop in this mixture up here, so it's a bit warmer, to get the effect of these branches and twigs spreading out there softly into the, before I use some heavier marks, sharper marks, wet on dry, to give the harder edges. Back to here, we're doing alright. Just want to bring these branches down here a little bit now, they're getting sharper. So I'm going to change my brushes now. I'm going to pick up my rigger and use the rigger just to bring this down here, and we'll look at these branches and twigs coming up behind the house. There we are, ready to work again. And you can see these lovely effects we've got here. You can also see where I need to put any darks back in. Okay, so we've got our background and our sky just about done in one go. It was quite fun. It may need softening a little bit. That light area there is very harsh. I'm going to just take some water and just blend that a little bit with the water, look. Just soften that edge a fraction with the water, so you can still lift out. You can lift the paint out with a damp brush, just to get this damp effect here. Even down into here where we want to make it a little bit lighter, the clouds just reflecting down around, we'll just use a damp brush to lift a little bit of that paint out. Of that effect there. Now we'll come down to these areas. House is about the right tone, we'll spray a little bit deeper. It's drying off here nicely now, so I can afford to take some of the mixture of the Prussian and the brown again, and just come down through and under here, through this chimney. One go, straight down, one block. Now I'm going to bring that glaze all the way down through here and then drop in again across this to go even stronger. So I'm going to take some more of that colour, a bit of ultramarine, a little bit of burnt sienna, and drop in a slightly darker line just down this edge, which will drop down in a furry way like we did with the trees. And now it's drying off, I can start to be a bit stronger with the trees back here as well. There we are, that's that bit sorted out. Across here and down there. I'm going to go darker with the windows behind there soon. Come down here now into this bit, and again I want nice and dark there, so I'm going to take my Prussian again, really dark Prussian and some burnt sienna, and I really want to go very dark just down here, darker than that even, much heavier paint. So I really want a very thick mixture of paint, so much water around here. Much darker just here, that's better. Use that dark just to come along there. I've only used one brush on the little rigger so far, I haven't needed much at all. Darker back here, that car's just here, we need to lift that car out slightly, so I'm going to take my wash brush and just lift some of this paint off here, which we've got. And I've lost that car, and you just bring that car back again. So the dry brush technique of lifting out here, look, which we can do with this brush. And there's our car again. Right, ultramarine, thin coat of ultramarine to come in over the roof again a little bit here. Just soften this down. Ultramarine there, and a wee touch of just the smallest touch of red at the top, just to link it in, and the same coming down across some of these bits of snow. There we go. I'm going to put some stronger colour into there in a moment. Now, while I've got that ultramarine on my brush, we're going to come back into here and just work some of this blue and the brown just back into here a little bit, just to give, see, I'm letting that paint dribble one into another here. Now down here we've got some really beautiful colours. We're going to use that yellow ochre again as a base, and I'm going to put a lot more of the verticals in down here, so that yellow ochre is going to come all the way down in and around the car here, these lights flooding down through here. beautiful way to use watercolour. And let these blues then come in down here, and we're going to get the effect now of the wet reflections coming down through here. That's what we want. So again, let's go back to our warms. We want to get a subtle gradations of the warmer reds here coming across. We don't want to lose all of that snow there, we want to leave some light areas there, so I'm going to, again I could pick up the paper now and just be a little bit, like I said, that's flooding down so much, I need to just pick this up and flatten it out because I'm going to lose all my snow there otherwise. I only want it trickling a certain amount. So again we're going to just pick up the paper and let it trickle a bit, but not as much as it's been. And I want to come across this more. Now I've got the reflections happening in there, I just need to get that reflecting a little bit more. Going down through and all this dark area here. Well, that's where I really want to get the dark, so again I need to lift something out because the paint's flooded down so much. I've got to come back here and just lift out the snow coming down here. See, I can do that with the dry brush, lift it out and lift it out wherever I want to. And it's a bit darker just across there as well. Dropping in these darks then, and that's going to then start coming around here with even more blue. I'm going to drop this down right along here. Right along that edge, broken edge. Again, we want very, very dark paint for this. I'll put a bit of ultramarine there as well. Now just to liven up the strength of that colour as it comes down here amongst the snow. And we're still working the wet into the wet and next to the wet for the moment. But laying the paper flat just while I do this. What you're going to have to experiment with to find how you get the flow working. You want the flow to come downwards or spread out evenly over the surface. So I'm making a fairly simple little picture of this. And there's bits of dark that are coming down here. I'm going to pick these out with dry paint, wet paint onto dry in just a moment, because at the moment it's just too soft, and we want to pick up that dark in a moment. I'm waiting and it's still drying. I'm just going to pick up on some of these, the end of this brush, some of these twigs and things here, and just as it's starting to dry, just start to hint at. So we're going to use a finer brush for this in just a moment, but you're starting to get the idea of how we can use the soft against the harsh, the rough against the smooth. We can pick out these details a little bit. Right, I'm going to take my little square-ended brush and we'll just have a look at how we could paint in some of these windows. I think would be rather fun. So with the brush we'll just start putting in some of these dark areas into here. I just want a square brush for a square shape. Round brush for a round shape. We can just put in these little windows down here. Hopefully it'll be effective. So the smaller the brush, the smaller the square you get. You don't want it taking over, but this should just do the job. Same across here, we've got little windows coming down right through here. Slightly difficult for me painting at this angle, but it'll just show you, won't it? So I'm painting it across at an angle which is not ideal. Let's just soften this slightly, so I'm going to take a little bit of the ultramarine, just soften it a little bit over the roofs, yet they're still a bit too bright. So we'll just soften them back a fraction more. Now, I can use a smaller brush now. I want to come back on some of these darker edges and just feel. So some of these details here, as we would do with water in a way. And look at that, the way we can make that detail come out of the darks back here and down the edge of this slush and snow here. Let me bring a lovely dark line like that. The same coming down the edge of the snow here. Bits of dark as they come in, and so this is just pure Prussian with a little bit of burnt sienna in. Now coming back up to the trees we were talking about earlier, I think it'd be rather nice to start to bring these trees out now. We can use the fine rigger to pick up on these lovely branches and twigs that are coming up through here, coming off each other. Always thick to thin with trees, remember, they always grow thick to thin, or thin to thick. We never go thick, thin, thick. We always go lighter with the brush. Just pick up on the brush and come outward. It's all a bit of fun. So if you want to try this one for fun, it's, as I say, it's turning what seemed a very boring and simple photograph hopefully into something a little more interesting. We don't want to overdo it, so we're probably almost there with this particular picture. And I reckon for what I wanted to do, that's it. I don't need to do any more, really. It will work as it is. The snow here a little bit, it's maybe a bit too strong just there, so it takes us back into the distance a bit more. And there we go. Showing how to make something out of nothing, really, I hope. And there we go. Snow behind and snow in front. Let's look at the effects we got with the wet and wet. Just ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, raw sienna and Prussian blue. That's all we need for a snow scene like this.